Hello, I thought I'd create another part, kind of like an extra part to this Elasticsearch demo. And this one's going to take the last one and it's going to take it a step or two further. More specifically, we're going to deploy this application up into AWS using Elasticsearch cluster. And we're also going to go ahead and demonstrate how we can have an SNS topic publish a message to a Lambda that'll go ahead and write, shall we say, some data over to Elasticsearch. So let's get started. As you can see, I'm going to update my little GitHub page with the updated examples and things like that. I didn't really want to create the previous example or overlay that because I had a video before that kind of walked through the steps there, so wanted to leave that one up there because that video still applies. All I did here was I changed the home controller a little bit just to kind of make this example a little bit more realistic. So like I said, I'll have a new updated home controller up there in the GitHub page. Probably end up calling it some other file, and then I'll also upload the Lambda and a code snippet that you can use that'll go ahead and programmatically upload, or shall we say publish to an SNS topic, which will in fact trigger the Lambda function. So let's get started. I know that was a mouthful, and maybe this will be a lot easier once you see this little demo. We're going to go to the Elasticsearch service inside of our console, and we're going to go and create a new domain. Doesn't really matter what we call it for this example, but you'll want to, name it something within your company and make it descriptive to, shall we say, your Elasticsearch database or index as they call it. So we're just going to say, test demo ES for Elasticsearch. We'll use version 6.2. We'll go next. This is pretty important too, and there's really no right or wrong answer. It's all about your data, how much data, how you plan to search through it, and all that. If you're going to have a lot of data, you probably want to have multiple instances because that helps with your shards as well as your replicas and your queries. So my understanding is each particular shard can have over 2 billion records, and I think you have a 2 GB limit on each document that you can store up in Elasticsearch. All those things are in consideration. Also, the other thing you want to take in consideration is if you're going to have one index and no types, or if you're going to have one index and many types, or if you're going to have several indexes. There's some links that I can provide that show you best case scenarios for when you'd want to do one over the other. So this example isn't really going to dive into that because, again, it's really all about your data. This example is just going to show you how to get some of the technical pieces up and running so that you can focus on analyzing your data. We're going to set the instance count to 1 for now, and I don't want to use the default. In production, you're going to want to use at least a large instance depending on how much data you're using out there. But in my case, I'm going to use the small one because I'm on the free tier in my own personal account. For the instance, I'm going to use EBS, and I'm going to use general purpose SSD instead of the slower magnetic and the provisioned IOPS, which is really nice. I'm going to use the default EBS volume size of 10. Normally, you may want to consider 20 to 40 gigabytes. That's what I've been reading as a recommended disk storage space for some volumes that are using Elasticsearch. The other thing about Elasticsearch is they create a snapshot once a day, and that gives you the option to restore from the snapshot. You can do that through the Elasticsearch command line interface, or Cabana, which I'll show you shortly too. So we're just saying run this at a time of day that traffic is going to be relatively low. So they default to midnight, and we'll go with that as well. We won't use any of the advanced options. Then we'll select next. You're going to want to use a VPC at your workplace or in your environment typically. Let's see here. In our case, I'm going to go ahead and just choose public access, and I'm not going to do Cognito authentication. I have another video out there that shows you how to use Cognito. And I'm going to do something that you never want to do in a real-world production system. I'm going to open up the world to everybody and saying anybody and everyone can go ahead and upload and delete documents to this cluster, because I'm going to go ahead and delete it right after I create this and show you this demo. So I'm going to accept the risk there. Amazon makes this available just for these kinds of purposes for testing. Do next. And the review page looks okay. And I'm going to hit confirm. So right now it's actually creating the cluster. I've done a few of these, or several of these. As a matter of fact, when I started out this video, you saw that there was another one being deleted. So this creation of this cluster is going to take quite a while. As you can see, it's in the demo state. And I'm going to hop on over. While we do that, I'm going to hop on over and show you the Lambda piece. And in order to use the Lambda piece, now this Lambda piece is going to go ahead and publish data to this Elasticsearch cluster. And I'm going to change it ever so slightly. But I am using a library. It's a JavaScript library. There might be other ones out there that are just as good, but this one seems to be really nice. Elasticsearch.js, and they have instructions on how to install it. So one of the things about Lambda, out of the box, when you have a Lambda function up on AWS, out of the box, you can use the default AWS SDK that they have. So in other words, you can say require AWS SDK, and they already have it installed for you. That interface is pretty nice too. It's more lower level. There may be cases, and Elasticsearch is one particular case where they have a really nice API for Node.js that we can use. So what you have to do in that case, since it's not installed out there in the cloud, you have to create a package deployment. And long and short of it about a package deployment, it's just a fancy name for basically go to your local folder on your own PC and create a folder, create an index.js, run your npm install, which I just did an npm install of Save Elasticsearch to pull this library in. So that's what you're seeing right here in the node modules. I deleted my package.json.lock file, and then I have this index.js, which is the body of the handler. So you could potentially, not potentially, you're going to want to test this locally if you can. And I'll make this body available. But as you can see, I'm pulling in the Elasticsearch library now and creating a client. I am going to go ahead and update this to reflect the new Elasticsearch cluster when that's finished being created. This is for the previous one. And the Lambda starts at the handler, so we get an SNS message. And this is just how you'll do things when you're pulling in from SNS. And we're going to parse it into a body, and we're going to send it on up to Elasticsearch using the client object, which is Elasticsearch client from this really nice library. And this here is going to do an upsert of a particular record that we're going to go ahead and publish over to Elasticsearch. So let me just show you how to create a deployment package. So I know I've actually tested this thing out, so it's working. So we'll go to this node modules, and we will create a zip file. And it doesn't matter what we call it. We'll just call it upload. And we'll hop on over to our Lambda, we'll hop on over to our console, because this is still creating. Thought we'd get some things done in the process. We'll go to Lambda. And I actually have a Lambda function that I created called publish to Elasticsearch. So, and as you can see, I already have a function inside of there, but we'll re-upload it again. This publish to Elasticsearch accepts an SNS trigger, and that SNS trigger, and I can show you the topic right there, but I have a SNS topic called publish to Elasticsearch. So what I did was I dragged in the trigger from the left-hand side, and then you can specify from all your triggers which one of these SNS topics that you want to have invoke this Lambda function whenever you publish to that topic. So here we have this publish to Elasticsearch one enabled. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this one here because I was trying some things out there and we don't care about that. It'll get affected next time we do a save. So now we're going to go to the body of the function, and we're going to re-upload. Here we have some options. You can actually edit your code in line. You can specify your runtime, and you can say where's the entry point. In this case, it's index.handler, which is going to go right into this handler method. And this index right here is the name of the file. So if you change this to something else, it's going to have to be reflected to the name of the file as well as the handler to be this. So anyways, it's just a convention. It doesn't have to be this. So let's go ahead and there's some options. You can edit your code inline, or you can upload a zip file, or you can actually take it from a S3 bucket. In this case, I'm just going to upload it from the zip file. And the zip file, we're going to go right to the CS Lambda. I'm going to click on it. There we go. And I'm going to do a save. Once we do a save, so it's pulling it in, and there it goes. It just brought in our Lambda function from my local PC. And now, because you uploaded the deployment package, it pulled in node modules. So now it is going to be able to find this require. And it'll go ahead and work. So let's see how our Elasticsearch cluster is doing. And as you can tell, I'm making this up as I'm going along. I don't really have this scripted out. I hope that's okay. This is just a demo. That's still running, so I'm going to show you the SNS notification topic. So I created, if you go to simple notification service, I went ahead and created a brand new topic, which is what you can do. And so you can give it a topic name and a display name. I called this one pub to Elasticsearch, and once you do that, you can create a subscription to the topic. So let's go ahead and select that. So I selected that, and then you can see I already have a subscription here, but what you're going to want to do in this subscription that I have here is actually the Lambda function. But in your case, you'll just want to go ahead and create a subscription, and you have some options. So you can have a REST API endpoint, you can send it to an email, you can send it to an SQS queue, and then maybe have a CloudWatch alarm, pick the data from SQS at predefined intervals. In our case, we just selected AWS Lambda, and under there, you can select the Lambda function, which I called it pub to Elasticsearch. I won't do that because I've already done that, and that's what you see right here. So now, the nice thing about that is you can publish a message to this, and when you do that, it's going to go ahead and forward that to all of your subscribers, and you can have multiple subscribers to one topic. But in our case, we just have one, which is going to be that Lambda function. So let's see how we are doing with the Elasticsearch service, see if it's getting any further. It has not. So as you can see, it does take some time. So having said that, I'm going to pause this video, and when the cluster gets created, I'll pick it up again and we'll resume. Thanks. Okay, it took a little took a little bit of time, but it finished it. Like I said, it took about 20 minutes or so for this cluster to get created. As you can see, the domain status is active. And what we're going to do is, what's really nice is it creates a Cabana endpoint for you. So it sets it up and installs it. But two endpoints of interest. Here's the main endpoint. We're going to go ahead and make some changes shortly to pick up this new endpoint. And I just kind of wanted to show you Cabana here. So if you click on that link, it's really nice. It brings up Cabana. You don't have to set it up or install it on your own like we did in the previous demo. So you can go to Dev Tools here. Then you can go to Get to Work, and you can query. And as you can see, there's nothing in there. So let's go ahead and do something about that. So we'll take the core 1.1 web example that we have here, and you know what? I just went ahead and made a brand new repo, and I'll show you where that is, but this brand new repo is going to contain the AWS code inside of here, as well as the Lambda function and the SNS topic. It's too much of a hassle to go back into the other repo and try to merge and blend, so we'll have two repos. They're going to be pretty much identical except for the home controller file, but I figured that's okay. So what we're going to want to do here, and I won't go into this code in detail because I already did in the previous demo, or the previous video. Go to this URI, and you can see I already was pointing to an older Elasticsearch cluster. Take your endpoint, and let's just do a copy right there. Go into here, and I'm going to replace this part here. Okay, and as you can see, I've changed this ever so slightly. I've changed the name of the index, and I wanted to also show that we've got an upsert running here. So I've got upsert capabilities here using that really nice Elasticsearch client library for C#, which I included a link to. So let's go ahead and test our upsert. So we've got our create and load and our test upsert. So this test Elasticsearch is being called from our home controller now. So, and if, like I said, this is not fancy, there's nothing extremely exciting about this. I wouldn't normally write code like this in production where everything is dumped into one big file. It's good for testing purposes. So no, I really should have refactored this, and I would if it was a real production application. So let's just go ahead and run this. Make sure this compiles, and we're going to want to make sure it also inserts data into our table so that when we do a query, we've got some records to show. So takes a little bit of time initially to start that up.